There's a lady right out here, ma'am.
Since you mentioned Easter, I was curious to know what role religion or non-religion or anti-religion may have played in your life and your work.
The lady would like to know what role religion, anti-religion, or lack of religion, or whatever about religion may have played in my life. I was raised in something close to a religion. It was called the Episcopal Church. Far more basically a social club than an act of faith. I remember that I left the Episcopal Church when I was 3 years old. I had been taken there by my nanny to a service around Easter. Not the Easter service, but probably the service about the crucifixion of Christ. I was so upset by that information, and I blamed it entirely on the Episcopal Church. So I left the church when I was 3 years old and became an existentialist, though I didn't know it at the time. The whole concept of faith is such a complex one. I probably finally came to the conclusion that there is so much to be gotten out of and experienced in being conscious and alive that I really don't have any time worrying about anything else. Being alive is such an extraordinary experience, and I can't imagine that anything could possibly equal it. I don't want people to go around frightening the horses. I don't want people to go around being awful to each other. But I think it's the consciousness and being able to function as a sentient being is all we need to have and all we need to know. And so I don't concern myself with the rest. I personally find that so many people are using religion as a crutch so they don't have to live their own lives fully. And I wonder what could be worse than coming to the end of your life and realizing that you hadn't fully participated in it because you were expecting a lot of rewards afterwards. I can't imagine anything worse than that. Pay attention to being conscious, pay attention to being alive, and I think you've probably got faith accomplished.
There's a lady right here in the blue.
Yes. Since you're in San Diego, I was wondering if you've had any interaction with the actors or the production of the upcoming Virginia Woolf.
Right. The question is, since you're in San Diego, have you had any exposure to the people involved in the new production of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Which new production?
Directed by Richard Sear, I believe.
It's going to be a Cassius Carter.
At the Cassius Carter.
There is going to be a production taking place at the Old Globe, yes, in May. No, I don't believe the director has talked to me. I know I approved the cast, and I approved the director, and I believe the text that they're doing is the text that we've been using in Los Angeles, the final text of the play. They struck me as being thoroughgoing professionals, and they haven't been in touch with me. Maybe they know something I don't.
A question from Kathleen.
You talked about magic. How important is magic in your work? And do you find it within the framework of your plays? Do you find it in the dialogue or the spaces in between?
The lady is asking a question about magic, and I'm going to have to ask her to identify what she means by magic.
Well, you use the word magic. Magic is something beyond...
I use magic in a particular sense as of make-believe.
Yes.
Well, what is not make-believe? All art is make-believe. All art is creating that which did not exist and making it real. That is a form of magic, is it not?
Yes, or the spark that ignites it. Maybe that's magic.
Some people are able to take events and turn them into something else. Those are called creative people. Some people don't have to do that. They're perfectly happy to have events and not comment on them. I suppose it's a kind of magic that you feel the responsibility and have the ability to take facts and turn them into something transcending facts, turn them into a work of art, that's very wonderful. That's a kind of magic, I suppose. But I do find that talking too much about the creative act is dispiriting, since perhaps it is black magic, and perhaps if we talk too much about it, it'll go away.
There are some questions from the outside. One lady asked me, of all of those who have performed George and Martha, do you have a favorite George and Martha?
My favorite George and Martha, of all the people, now I've worked with some awfully good actors. The present company of Kathleen Turner and Bill Irwin is just about among the very, very best of the ones that I've worked with. But I must tell you that the George and Martha that I admire and love and respect more than any other are the two people that I saw and heard when I was writing the play. That George and Martha.
Yes.
Because they are the most real. And they are obviously closest to my intention.
Great answer. A question someone handed me from outside is, what is stretching your mind these days?
What is stretching my mind these days? Well, so many things are stretching my mind these days. How can we have gotten where we are politically in the United States? How can we have been so short-sighted, so selfish, and so intellectually and morally lazy to accept the destructive excesses of this administration without rising up in physical protest against them?
Oh, bravo.
You know, I sit there, and I don't sit there because I'm getting up on my hind feet usually and yelling about it wherever I can, but I find our civil liberties being taken away from us under the guise of security. I find that this administration has managed to destroy just about everything accomplished from the New Deal on in a liberal democratic society. I begin to wonder whether we can survive as a democracy, whether we want to survive as a democracy, whether we have the guts and the courage to want to be individual enough to take the chances that a democracy must take in order to survive. Have we become so enamored of wealth and security that that's all we care about? I'm very, very, very worried about the survival of democracy in the United States because I've seen democracy vanish in countries around the world. I know how fragile democracy is. And I know that the United States was started as a revolutionary society, and we have managed to exist for a great number of years as a slowly progressive revolutionary society. And I find that what's happening now is that we're pulling back from the desire for adventure, pulling back from the need to be individualistic, and we are in great danger of losing our democracy. Those are among the things that are concerning me these days.
A question from this lady right here.
In A Delicate Balance, how much of Agnes was based on your mother? And who was the better Agnes, Jessica Tandy or Katharine Hepburn?
The lady was asking about my play A Delicate Balance and how much was the character of Agnes based upon my mother. Well, since the character of Agnes was not based upon my adoptive mother at all, the answer would be not a bit. I've only written one play in which my adoptive mother is a character, and that is the play called Three Tall Women. That is the only biographical play that I've written about that particular adventure in my life. Who is the best Agnes I have seen? Again, I give you the same answer. I've seen a number of very, very wonderful actresses playing Agnes both in England and the United States, but my favorite Agnes remains the one that I saw and heard when I was writing the play.